Now, me monigan. Me ud lively engine. De we go kies van de wangba. Ne iemand. In kade mon egan. Mon egan. Sam nee. Nooit ge opiabik. Nan en romanke. De schrijven kit nan en romanke. With no opiabik. Mon ana. Zawabik ge. Mina nooit ge opiabik na ma. Mon egening Niibing shunda ko nina wakiki de na kiuk. Nango nondash. Nango gaina sap pitch Niibing. Gaina sap pitch Niibing. Jina kisiuk mon egening. Kchajiko. Me stamping Tom Connors kanjit Tottenham Sudbury Saturday night. Mon again in wak skwana kiat me the kwegam gong. One nam the bottom min quiet. Quail okay, no, he pumping gong wilk. Ye nam as stamping Tom. Now, gay one a man pea, we could win a Chibuaga CB ma. Gay we could win a Unga CB. Now. Gay go we could win a. Gay go we could win a. Quinoa, gay go get there na, walk which me. Na iemand en de Giizsookwe Scotch, ki de bad de ma VTA verb stems, ki spin wa, jibigadik. De beskogen na de moa. Man dan e. Kine jibi ma kinagego. Kein McQueen zien weg de windig. Ich bin wirklich na de mo. Ich bin man PNW bit. Me man da mesh got number 4 is na go kit. Nee, dus ga ipane. Man piga is reps no. Me man da ganti shipima. Man piga is reps no. Misena sok kita mission da guy misena sok. Misena sok me wini. Exception to the exception. Me man da ganti shipima. But most other transitive animate verbs, if they have in that number one form, the form that I labeled number one on the thing the graphic I drew. Yeah, most others, if it's a W, then it becomes ok. Otherwise, if it's not a W there, then it's ik. Kwijmik, kanonik, and so on. Now, and niemand another more. We do qua aden kido. Sorry. Now. Pokaroo da beja.
Third to first, yeah. This is
Yeah.
And it
Gaa-kinoomaaged.
after W, it changes to Gaa-kinoomaaged. Yeah? Or after M, after a hard vowel.
Not
Or a hard consonant, sorry.
Not-
Not a monk.
a mock. Oh, mandana K. K. Ich bin Gaa-kinoomaaged.
Ik.
Ik. Ik. Kikendana Niibing, minon sugun. Edming, mag je eens een kassen?
Nishnaabemwin, is it before?
Ka.
Ka?
Nee, pitchigebeen.
Giizsookwe.
Ja.
And wasnago, Ginago. Yesterday.
Manda nango, manda chinago, manda wasnago, kche usnago.
And then wasnago. So
Manda
yesterday, day before, and then day before.
the day before the day before.
Yeah.
Okay. Shaganashi mang meshkut kitok 2 days ago meshkut
2
kitok.
days ago.
Nishnaabemwin de swine mi gra tuni. Usnago, kche usnago.
Okay. What's two gone?
Manda Niibing.
Nishnaabemwin?
Manda gen sugun.
Sugun.
Na Asian dangi de badadan. Nee. Okay. Nee, Asian dangi de badadan. Nee. Pitchigebeen. Kikendana Edming gebeen. Dan kikendana pitchigebeen. Niemand pingi de badadan. Pitchigebeen. Gamin keang gi de badadan. Pitchigebeen gamin keang gi de badadan. Pitchigebeen gamin keang gi de badadan. Gi de badadan. Oka minke, minen. Dus en sugun. Pitchigebeen. Manda pitchigebeen. Sugun. Mi pitchigebeen gamin kea. Majan nap bokaru. Yeah, so gun is not a word, but it comes up when we're talking about how long something has been happening or being done. Or say how somebody went somewhere, how long they were away, or how long they were over wherever they went. So instead of, although usually Giizsookwe is the word you'll hear for day, it is day, Giizsookwe. Giizsookwe, like when we talk about the days of the week, Eshki-nishnaabemjig, Giizsookwe, depending on the system you're using. So Giizsookwe, and so on. So Giizsookwe or Giizsookwe are a couple of ways of saying the idea of day, but when we're talking about days in terms of how long, we don't use Giizsookwe or Giizsookwe anymore. We use the number and we make a word with number along with gun. Gun is not a word by itself.
Oh, so like Nishnaabemwin.
Sugun.
Sugun.
Sugun. And if it were this, new gun. Now I haven't. Ann Corbiere, Mary Lou. I haven't heard very often, I haven't heard anything for this idea. The term for one is bejig by itself, pigin dasang. No, Eshki-nishnaabemjig, Giizsookwe. Okay, that's when you'd hear, for example, bejig. And then certain instances, like if I drink a mug full of coffee or a cup full of something, Goedenagen or Goedenagas, Giizsookwe, you'll hear good for the idea of one. But I haven't heard either of these routinely heard with gun to say like something happened for one day. So I'm not sure if there's a standard way or if there's a workaround, if they say something else instead. Yeah.
What about like the tum good? One day?
Oh, and ka. Nae ntum. Ntum is the idea of first, but this one is specifically first, like say first in line, or the first person to do something, for example. Eshki-nishnaabemjig, Tour de France, Eshki-nishnaabemjig. So often, this is also used as a prefix. Who arrives at the finish line first. So if you're talking about whoever, whoever that is, so and so, so that's how ntum is also used as a prefix to a verb. This part relates to biking. Whatever, there's a seat there, whatever. And whoever. But when they get somewhere, when they arrive somewhere to their destination, this is why this is coming up. Mimanda bagam. Gishpin kirian bagam webshkige. The image is like you have a destination in you're visualizing, and the person is arriving at that destination. Gishpin kirian bimsko webshkige. Kwamdana nasap webshkige. Kai bagam nangondikadasi beam wetuan beamsko. You're just describing that they're bicycling, that they're biking. You're not indicating which way they're going, or that they're arriving, or that they're starting off bicycling, like they're taking off from the start line. You're just saying, oh, Bimsko Epshkige, how does he get to work? Bimsko Epshkige ko. He usually bikes. Bimsko Epshkige ko. Now, Bimsko bedege go, Bimsko bede. Dit is besek, Bimsko bezoek. Gaimem kach. Migo depsek manda nondman. Manda nondman, mino manda mich kendman. Bimsko epskignan kina kasnan. Migo kendming. Kishpin, we a kidat on. Bagam bisa. Bagambisa. Mandan ondaman. Meek kendaman dabaning beya, dabaning. Oh, gibagambis. Dabaning, mi mande ketang bagambisa. Oh,
And when is Biza? So what does the Biza mean?
what?
Biza?
Biza. Mi winnie.
It's turning?
Okay.
Driving.
Daban.
Biza is driving.
Mibisa. So again, bagambisa, mandan ondaman. It's indicating that somebody's arriving, like arriving driving is like the literal breakdown, but of course in English, you don't talk like that. If you're at the house and a car pulls up, you're not going to say in English, oh, somebody's arriving driving. But in Nishnaabemwin, this sounds perfectly normal. You're indicating that they're arriving, whoever it is, and that they're arriving in a car. They're arriving by driving in a car. That's perfectly normal. It doesn't sound silly. In English, the literal translations. In English, what would you normally say? It's like, oh, somebody's here.
Yeah, somebody's here.
A common. Oh, Wia. Yeah, just generally somebody's like, Wia bagambisa, somebody's here. And again. Gintaame bagambisa. Formula 5. When there's Gintaame bagambisa. Petty. I don't know what the big names are in racing these days.
I thought in cycling that this was the part. This is the action part. This is the going around, right? But if you lose that the part. Do you know that it's a bicycle?
This is enough to tell.
It's enough.
Yeah, because if it was a car, we'd be hearing bisa.
Bizarre, yeah. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
If you need to have the whole.
I guess in theory, you could say Gaa-kinoomaaged, but yeah, like we don't. To know win systeming, we don't. It's like just in English when you're looking out the window, you hear a car pull up.
Yeah.
It's enough to say somebody's here. You don't need to say somebody's arriving driving.
It's indicating that somebody's arriving on a bike, right? This is the wheels turning. Wouldn't that be the same for Daban though? Like the turning of the wheels?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. However, these words came out of people's mouths when they first began seeing these contraptions and seeing these things. Something popped into their mind, something salient about the thing. And they just began using that, and like they didn't necessarily sit there and discuss, okay, what should we call that activity? Something just naturally pops out of their mouth. Yeah. It's like in English, like when cell phones came along, technically the thing is a text message. Nobody deliberated to say, okay, should we always say, I'll send you a text message? Somebody just decided to take a shortcut, I'll text you. And it just, everybody started using that shortcut. Yeah, one of my nieces said, I'll inbox you. I'm asking my daughters. I'm not much of a social media person. Inbox me? Oh, that thing on Facebook that you can use for messages? I'd never heard inbox used in that way. I'm thinking of an office where incoming mail is put inbox, outgoing mail. Yeah, so I mean, just these things happen spontaneously from somebody, and if it sounds neat or nifty or a good shortcut, then everybody else just starts talking like that. Yeah, so So presumably that's how these things just came to be. And yeah, this one, shkige, it's like, it indicates you're using your legs in some fashion. It's like, you know, whereas when you're mibza, unless you're driving a Flintstone car, you're not using your legs. Yeah, mibza. So if you just say mibza, again, same token, you're not describing the manner of driving, you're just saying, okay, mibza. Car going by, well, I guess car going by is the only way most logical way to say it. You're not indicating in which direction, or whether they're driving away from you, or if they're driving towards you. See, those other kind of specifics, then we start changing what we have at the beginning, when we start specifying stuff like that.
That's where we start conjugating the word, right?
A conjugation technically is just when you're changing persons.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's conjugation. Whatever you call this, it's we're just making new verbs. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like more precise verbs, I guess is what we might say.
Okay.
Mibza is just a general driving car. Bimskoepskege, just a general. Do you ride a bike? It sounds funny, eh? Because you're not riding a bike. You're not just sitting there like you ride in a car. You are operating the bike.
Yeah.
But in English, you normally say ride a bike. You don't say drive a bike.
Yeah.
It sounds odd to say drive a bike.
That's driving a bike.
Yeah, like you're making the bike go. You're not just riding on it. Yeah, but when you start getting more specific, like about manner in which you're doing that or direction in which you're going, and so on, then you start changing what's at the beginning of the verb. And then yintame. Yeah, again, Formula 5. When is going to be become busy? Jacques Villeneuve, Canadian. Jacques Villeneuve. Jacques Yintame become busy. Now how?
This is such a dumb question, and I really should know. But we were talking about it.
Nothing dumb.
So my car, your car, I have a car.
Oh. Daban, dewo.
And
Dewo.
what is that little verb?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. Yeah, some of the sounds like really sound very different technically. Have something animate is yawa. The inanimate form is yan. That's why it's better to, I don't know if I want to say it's better, but if you write have something as yan, if you take the same ya and add this, then you see the connection. We're both talking about having something. Yan, yawa. Yeah, this is sort of tricky. Number 3. Because in English, Nishnaabemwin, in English, how often does it arise to say like, have me, I'll have you. I notice on radio interviews, like CBC radio, the person being interviewed, they'll always say, thank you for having me. Nishnaabemwin Giizsookwe. I guess Nishnaabemwin, it would sound odd to say, me weshki-anishinaabemojig. It's sort of a double entendre. It's like often used in a like joking way, like sexual jokes. It's like, oh, yo, you want to have me? Or you want to have sex? Me and Nishnaabemwin are always looking for things to laugh at. So if you were to say yo, it's like, oh, they'd crack up, say, oh, wow. So the only way we usually use the verb for have something is actually like owning something, possessing something. Not necessarily owning, like this is not mine. Now, Gaa-kinoomaaged. Like, do you have a thing on hand that I can use? Yeah. Miwe, yawa. So, sorry, gainchida. So this is the stem, but when we talk about kikidin, I have a car. Daban, technically we're saying deyawa, but at least in Wiki, I don't know about other communities. There's scope kedronang, Curve Lake, kain makwain desin. I'm sure it came up when we were chatting, Giizsookwe, like for the dictionary workshops. But in Wiki, it comes out sounding like yo. Or so yeah, so it's an odd sound. I've always had a hard. Before I sort of realized, I guess how helpful it was for me to sort of think systematically like this, just going purely by sound, spell it like it sounds. I was always trying to figure out, dewo. How the heck do I spell wa? It's 2 syllables, wa. But it's not, they're not broken up like wa. It's just a very smooth wa. Like in English, when you say naive, you don't say naive. You know, that very smooth. Or theater, you don't say theater. Theater, that very smooth ooh. Between the vowels, But they're in 2 separate syllables. So that's yowa. Daban dewo. And even there, it's like dewo. This even comes out more like wo. Dewo. Yeah. But when you see it in a dictionary, you'd probably see something like this, yawa. Weak one. Kdewo na daban. Dewo daban.
Yawa, yawin, and yawa, all animate?
Daban animate.
So all this side is all animate? When that's what you use when you use an animate verb, right? And yawn is
Sorry. Now this one, something is wrong here. Yeah, because that verb is so rarely used in those other forms. I sometimes have to think, okay, what's the actual verb stem? Continue. This will come back to me eventually. Something will click eventually. Nishnaabemwin and dewok. Yeah, again, in theory, you're saying deyawok. I'm adding the ka, because you've got plural, not more than one benoji. So when you have more than one animate thing that you have, benojik or benojiyuk, as it's said sometimes in certain places, plural. Swibenoji and walk is what you're saying in theory. And again, it sounds like they walk. They walk. Yeah, it just comes out sounding different. But if you said swibenoji and walk, kan sastagoga, kadon sastagoga, you're understood. You're just going to impress people. Oh, he speaks more proper Nishnaabemwin than we do. He knows the actual verb stem. I'm going to think about verb stems, but like everyday speakers, eh? But yeah, sastagot. It's understandable. Yeah, and people will say, oh, Gaa-kinoomaaged Nishnaabemwin. Did your grandma teach you how to speak the language? Because you're speaking so good. Because a lot of times wiki folks will say, it's like we'll sort of put ourselves down and say, yeah, we speak slang. Yeah, because they know that they speak differently from others who, like Minnesota, who say words more fully. Yeah, and it's like, them's fighting words. It's not slang. It's just a natural thing that happens to any language. And slang is different. Slang is like calling a policeman a cop. Yeah. But I don't get into these discussions with my bros. We just want a visit. That's exactly how you'd use. And that's exactly how we normally talk of a family. Yeah, because in English, again, the contrasting, the trickiness about, as an adult English first language speaker, you're so used to English phrasings. Often people will say something like, and I am a proud mother of 4. Nishnabek don't talk like that. Like, first of all, I am a mother. Why not? Because for us kin terms, they call them noun dependent animate nouns, because to be a mother, you have to be somebody's mother. If you don't have anybody to call you mother or father, then you're not a mother or a father. You're automatically somebody's mother. And if you're a daughter, you're somebody's daughter, somebody's son. So in the Nishnaabemwin, those are generally always in possessive form. Okay, so when I talk about my daughters, Giizsookwe dansuk. Again, literally translating that into English, it sounds odd. Giizsookwe dansuk. My daughters are 2 in number, is the idea. There are 2 of them, my daughters. Okay, that's the more literal English translation, which of course is not the normal way. But for us, it's perfectly normal to say Giizsookwe dansuk, because I can't grammatically say I have 2 daughters, because 2 daughters has no possessive. There's no possessive pronoun in there, like my. So we need to have them in possessive form. Giizsookwe dansuk. You hear that there, that's my daughters. Yeah, my daughters number 2. That's how we naturally talk about like size of one's family, how many kids they have, or how many grandkids. Now, benoji, child, that is not a possessive form. Like a benoji can be anybody's. Oh, benoji, there's kids playing over there. But son, daughter, possessive. Ann Corbiere.
But is that, so that verb root, that's why I was hesitant to ask. I thought it was a stupid question.
Sorry?
To have something, is that commonly used, that verb?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, depending on what you're, yeah. Like, do you have a car? If you want to call this wasmun and none, I'm going to.
Because it goes so fast. It's yo.
And it'll be interesting. Ich bin nonduego on Barbara, mage Mary Lou. Mary Lou, like, Besha, Giizsookwe, Murray Hill, Carboni Ode, Gaa-kinoomaaged, Sudababan Goje, mige Mary Lou, Giizsookwe. Non-doak pane, Kina Ode, Gaa-kinoomaaged, Eshki-nishnaabemjig, and then in the morning, pane non-dan. Dat ban gedone men even, dat ban gedone ook. It might even sound like Dewa. Dewa. If they slow down a little bit, Dewa. But in Wiki, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say Deyawa. That's why they put themselves down and say, we speak slang. Don't start with a schwiego, but we understand each other. Even the people in big cities who speak street slang might be slang, but they understand each other. Yo, bro. I might look into the idea of first and tell a bit more, but if you have other questions that you want to ask before they vanish, not stoic, quidwick.
What is that for? What are those words for?
Manda na mina manda. Oh, that was just, yeah. This coincidentally, you use the same verb stem in two ways. This would be in a sentence like, could you help me? Gaa-kinoomaaged. Could you help me? Gaa-kinoomaaged. If I just say naadamo, I'm saying help him.
Oh, okay.
Or looking at you, help her, naadamo.
Okay.
So this is the command to tell somebody to do something to a third person or for a third person.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
naadamo means help. Like. Okay.
Yeah.
This used to
We do kwa. Yeah. So we do kwa. It would be we do ko. And then if you'd help him, you'd say we do ko. We do question is help me. Yeah, these things, like this, you start off with this, but depending on who needs to be helped, if it's help me, then you're going to hear shin. And this thing happens. Instead of not, this one is okay here, not motion. But here, we do question, it has to come up.
Oh, okay, so we do shin.
So, yeah, we start off with this, but then when we add on the shin to indicate help me, if you're talking to one person, help me, this is heavy. But if I needed two people to help me or more people, like all of you, Nishnaabemojig. Yeah. Okay. So that's how we use these VTAs. Eh? Okay. Like that's why it's a good idea to think of them as stems, because various things can be added to various of them as your sentence changes, like in terms of who's being helped? Naadmo? Naadmo shin, help me. Who's being helped me? And telling one person, Naadmo shin. Me still being helped, but I need two or more of you to help me. Nishnaabemojig. Yeah, so various things are added. Plural person to do the helping, but still one person needs to be helped. Me. And so on. Yeah.
I'm going to break them in. So what we don't push. So how do you say just help? Like we don't go?
We don't. When you're saying the verb, automatically you have somebody to be helped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if somebody is drowning, Like in English, you'd say, help, help. Nishnaabemwin, you're saying, help me, help me. Not motion, not motion. That actually happened to my mother. My cousin got married in Tobago. He met a woman from Tobago. That's where they got married. First time my mother's, they had to go down to the ocean. Big waves. She's not a good swimmer. So she just went wading in the water. Then a big wave like knocked her over. And Zero got scared. And she said, Cece! Isidore, Toulouse was there too. My cousin's a good friend of Isidore. Cece, not the motion. So Isidore's wife is Cece. Everybody calls her. Not a motion. My mother was yelling, and then after that, she was just laughing away. Like it wasn't deep water; it's just a big wave. Eh? Yeah. That was her Tobago adventure. Anyhow, Kimbin Keta, Giizsookwe.
Negation.
Majan, we just say Majan. Yeah, another curious thing. Normally, Maja means go away, but when we call somebody over, we use the same verb, but it means come here.
Do you have
No,
to specify
no, we just always say Majan.
No, Majan?
Yeah, that's the curious thing.
By context, they would know.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been trying to work around different ways of negation. So VTA negation, I've kind of worked around that a little bit. And then I've noticed that shin, what is that? Because that's like a weird like verb modifier of some sort, isn't it? Like it's to
With that command, it just indicates it's me who needs to be helped, and one of you needs to help just me, not a motion. It's just a suffix for that particular command.
It could be used with
One
a
you-
VAI and a VTA?
Ka.
No.
Yeah, it's like eat. If it's one of you, I'm telling to eat. We snin. If it's two or more of you, then I'm telling to eat. We snick. That's a VAI. We snin, we snick. Yeah, that's why it's really critical to know the verb type you're working with, because like in English, everything is so easy, eh? Help, eat, come in. Nishnaabemwin, we get so specific, eh? Like, how many are you telling to do something? And how many, just me, or me and him?
Which verb type is not motion?
That's a VTA. Like these are all VTA stems.
Right. Not motion.
Did you get that graphic that I made?
F.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, yeah, you were here when I passed that out. Yeah, these are just strictly VTA. Yeah, and
You could use shin on it.
VTAs you use shin, but not on VAIs.
No.
Exactly.
So these are all animate.
Animate and transitive.
Yeah, animate, transitive.
How would you say, don't help me?
Kego, Naadmoshe ke. Naadmoshe. In a way, you've got two suffixes there. Now, again, how do we write this out? I like to use hyphens, but not overly, because my own perception is that, okay, the big Shagnash world thinks Nishnabeg are primitive, and then we start writing our words with a bunch of hyphens to break it up to make it pronounceable. Then it looks primitive on paper. Oh, these people aren't very literate. They have to break down their words, like they can't say words like anti-establishmentarianism with just one hyphen. They have to go anti-establishment because they are primitive. They don't limited intellectual capabilities. So it's like, well, if we had written our language going back decades, we would have gotten used to these big long words. Yeah. but it was never written extensively historically, just in prayer books, hey? Bible was translated. I look at the stuff and I'm going, oh yeah, interesting. But anyhow, yeah, so that's the idea behind. Yeah, so we're going with Gaa-kinoomaaged. Or Giizsookwe. Now there, I wouldn't bother putting a hyphen, because typically, if I'm going to use suffixes with a hyphen, it's only when you have a full syllable, shi-ke. Here, this thing just, because of, this is another thing that another linguist analyzed and saved me I couldn't have figured this out by myself. Yeah. Just the rhythm of words. When short vowels end up in certain positions in a word, they get what they say, extremely unstressed. It's like the accent is not on this syllable. It's like when you say probably instead of probably. When you're speaking rapidly, probably. It's something like that. So in theory, it's not the mo in theory. In Minnesota, if they use that verb, you might pick up the it, but it would be not very stressed. The accent is on long vowel syllables. But in, again, Manitoulin speech, because when a syllable is not accented, like the short vowel is basically barely heard, if heard at all. So that's why I'm thinking we say, oh, Giizsookwe. In theory, it's Giizsookwe. And maybe in Minnesota speech, it would be Giizsookwe. But notice, where's the accent? I'm not saying Giizsookwe. It's shike. Exactly. Yeah, so there, because it would look odd to put a hyphen in the middle there, like. But over here, I'm fine with putting a hyphen. Just to signal to the reader, there's two morphemes here. There's a shi, coming from shin, for me. And then there's the ke, the other morpheme, that needs to go when you have Nishnaabemwin. Those two are needed to say, don't help me.
What about don't help him or her?
Oh, that one is mercifully easy compared to that. Gaa-kinoomaaged. We don't need to do any vowel adjustments because long vowels always accented. Long vowels always accented, so we generally don't tinker with them. It's short vowels that, okay, they're gonna
It's the shin that's
fall out, or all of a sudden they come seemingly out of the blue. Where'd that come from? It was there all along, hiding.
kind of little grammatical tool.
Exactly. Exactly, and that's the way Nishnaabemwin is. That's how we, Eshki-nishnaabemjig, do the things that English uses, pronouns, auxiliary verbs, and blah, 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 and leave some things implicit. They don't bother making explicit. We make explicit with morphemes. And vice versa. There's some things that in English are specific, but we don't bother getting that specific. Yeah, I'll try and think of more examples with tum, because there's a few things about the idea of first. And tum versus other ways it might be expressed. Yeah.
Kitty and it's time.
Miminik. Same thing as, oh, that's enough. Or like it's time for us to move, or it's time for us to stop. Mimbe. Now when you say it's time, there's an idea that we need to do this, that it's a must thing. We have to finish now. Mimbe abadek. Abadek is the idea of must, as in having to do something. Like it's required, because we have another group needs to come in. Abadek, okay. Mimbe abadek. weshki-anishinaabemojig. Now I'm talking to you guys. Weshki-anishinaabemojig. Weshki-anishinaabemojig. You guys have to change locations now. Move elsewhere now. Anji. Move elsewhere. Anji. Weshki-anishinaabemojig. Go to another classroom or whatever, go take a break. Oh, hey. Don't forget me this time. See, there's your don't command again.